He was the leader of the 1914 Miracle Braves, which went from last place in July to a World Series championship in October. He has been described as the first player inducted into the Hall of Fame simply because of his glove. Even today, he holds the major league record for most putouts by a shortstop. This is the story of Rabbit Maranville, one of the first great defensive shortstops in Major League Baseball history. Walter James Vincent Maranville was born on November 11, 1891, in Springfield, Massachusetts. He debuted in 1912 as a part-time player for the Boston Braves. The following year, he played in 143 games. In his first full season, Maranville batted .247 with 2 home runs, 48 RBIs, 68 runs, and 25 stolen bases. He had an on-base percentage of .330 and slugged .308. Still, he finished third in the MVP race behind Jake Daubert and Gavy Cravath. The main reason is his glove. The following season, he'd bat .246 with 4 home runs, 78 RBIs, and had an OPS of .632. However, he proved to be a master with the glove. He led the league in assists, and all shortstops in putouts and double plays. He finished second in the MVP race behind teammate Johnny Evers. Incredibly, despite the lack of power and a low average, Maranville batted cleanup for the Braves. Maranville's performance helped the Boston Braves complete one of the most incredible turnarounds in Major League Baseball history. The Braves were in last place as late as July 4, but took first place for good on September 4. They eventually captured the pennant by 10.5 games. Their record over their final 87 games was 68-19 for a winning percentage of .782. The Braves remained hot in the World Series, where they met Connie Mack's heavily favored Philadelphia Athletics. The Braves had Maranville and Evers, while the Athletics had all-time greats, future Hall of Famers Eddie Plank, Eddie Collins, Frank "Home Run" Baker, Chief Bender, and Herb Pennock. Everyone picked the Athletics to win. However, the Braves swept the series, and this caused Mack to disband the first Athletics dynasty. This time, Maranville's bat showed up as he hit .308 with 3 RBIs. After the Braves won the championship, a scout of the Chicago Feds from the new Federal League offered Maranville a bonus of $50,000 if he'd switch leagues. It was tempting, as very few players earn as much as $10,000 in a season, but Maranville refused. Maranville continued his mediocre offense and great defense, but from 1915 to 1923, there were no MVP awards in the National League. In 1916, Maranville had his best season in terms of WAR. He batted .235 with 4 home runs and 38 RBIs. He had an OPS of .620. In 1918, Maranville spent most of the season in the military because of World War I. Still, he had 42 plate appearances in 11 games. As a part-time player, he batted .316, the only time he topped the 300 mark. Before the start of the 1921 season, the Braves traded Maranville to the Pittsburgh Pirates for Walter Barbare, Fred Nicholson, Billy Southworth, and $15,000. He played well in his first season with the Pirates. He had a 4.2 WAR and batted .294, his highest average in a full season. He had 1 home run to go with 70 runs batted in. When the National League resumed giving MVP awards in 1924, Maranville finished 7th in voting. He batted .266 with 2 home runs and 71 RBIs. He also had a 3.7 WAR. 1924 was also notable as the Pirates moved Maranville to second base. The Pirates had Glenn Wright, a rookie shortstop, who dominated the minors defensively. Unlike Maranville, however, Wright could hit well. Wright's arrival also meant the end of the Maranville era in Pittsburgh. At the end of the season, the Pirates traded Maranville to the Chicago Cubs, where he returned as shortstop and assumed the role of player-manager. He played in only 75 games that season and was player-manager for 53 games, and had a record of 23 wins and 30 losses. He didn't seem to take the role seriously and declared that he only had one rule, that the players couldn't sleep before he did, which was a challenge as he loved to party. Unsurprisingly, the environment with the Cubs was crazy. With the team languishing in last place, the Cubs fired him. The Brooklyn Robins claimed him off waivers during the offseason, but released him unconditionally in August 1926. It was at this point that Maranville realized he needed a lifestyle change if he wanted to keep playing. He stopped drinking and later said, "Either I had to lay off the booze and get serious with the game, or it would be the end of me." Now a free agent, Maranville joined the St. Louis Cardinals with a renewed purpose. In 1928, Maranville had a 1.3 WAR but still finished 10th in MVP voting. He batted .240 with 1 home run and 34 RBIs. He was also part of that year's pennant-clinching Cardinals team. However, in the World Series, they were swept by the powerhouse New York Yankees, who were led by Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. Maranville continued to be a darling of voters for the MVP awards. From 1928 to 1933, despite batting no higher than .284 and hitting no more than 2 home runs, he would finish in the top 17 of the MVP votes for 6 consecutive years. In 1933, despite batting .218 with 0 home runs and just 38 RBIs, he finished 12th in the MVP voting. His WAR for the year was later computed to be negative 1.0. He missed the 1934 season due to a broken fibula and tibia. He tried a comeback the following season, but at age 43 and batting just .179 in 23 games, Maranville retired. Maranville played 23 seasons in the National League, which was a record until Pete Rose broke it. He retired with a 44.0 WAR. He batted .258 with 2,605 hits. He had 884 RBIs and scored 1,256 runs to go with 291 stolen bases. He had an OPS plus of 82. Except for most games and at-bats, Maranville never led the league in any offensive category. He was at best a mediocre hitter. However, he dominated defensively. Maranville was the season leader for shortstops in the following defensive categories: assists, range factor per 9 innings, and fielding percentage. 3 times. Double plays. 4 times. Putouts. 7 times. Maranville was also known for his wild antics and practical jokes on and off the field. Once, he dressed as a waiter and served his teammates breakfast. Another time, he caught fly balls while riding a mule in practice. He was a defensive wizard and an entertaining clown. In a quote attributed to legendary sports writer Grantland Rice, Maranville played shortstop as if born with a baseball in his hand, and laughter in his heart. In 1954, he was voted into the Hall of Fame on his 14th year on the ballot. Maranville's Hall of Fame induction stands out because he's one of the few position players ever elected by the writers of the BBWAA almost entirely for his defense, leadership, and personality, not his offensive stats. His election by the writers paved the way for later defensive wizards like Luis Aparicio and Ozzie Smith. Maranville died on September 29, 1935. He was 62. Thank you for watching. Do you think poor hitters but great defensive players deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. It helps a lot.